I want to bring in John Brennan, of course, the former CIA director, who knows so well what goes into these kinds of trades. I think there may have been one on your watch as well involving 10 Russians and some Americans. And it was controversial with some of the agencies. The FBI never likes to give up someone they've convicted. The CIA knows that there's only one way to get people out who've been convicted of espionage from Russia, and that is to give up a very high-level prisoner. And it was very clear from conversations I've had that they were basically scouring the Allied prisons and other locations to try to see what ally might be able to give up a Russian to make this deal larger in order to get more people out.
Yes, Andrea, I presume that this is basically a continuation of the ongoing dialogue that has been authorized by both the White House and the Kremlin that resulted in the release of Brittany Griner in exchange for Victor Bout last year. And so that dialogue has continued, and it seems as though both sides then started to identify individuals that they wanted to be released. And as it's been made clear now, there were individuals who were outside of U.S. custody that were in Europe. And so therefore, I'm sure the White House, working with the intelligence community, law enforcement, and others, the dialogue probably continued through very secure intelligence channels with the back and forth that was going on. But the orchestration of this, I think, is truly remarkable. As you mentioned in 2010, when we exchanged the Russian illegals, that was very difficult because we had to coordinate within the U.S. government in terms of the different departments and agencies involved, and even the different branches of government, the judicial branch. But you're now expanding that to so many more countries, and to be able to do this and do it securely, in secret, and to make sure that all the pieces were in place so that we could see today in Turkey this remarkable exchange. So again, this is something that I think is a success in one respect in terms of getting these people out, but this issue of state hostage taking by Russia, using individuals as pawns in order to get out individuals who have been convicted of murder. These are other individuals, assassins and others, who they're trying to get released. Again, this is part of Vladimir Putin's commitment that he's never going to leave any type of Russian operative or spy behind. And so, again, there are clearly reasons to celebrate today, but also concerns going forward in terms of what also might be ahead in terms of individuals who will be seized, not just by Russia, but by other countries as well.
John Brennan, what signal does this send to our people who are working overseas, to our intelligence community, our covert operatives? You've been one yourself. You were station chief, among other posts.
Well, I think it sends the signal that at least the Biden administration and other U.S. administrations are working tirelessly to try to do what is right. And sometimes statecraft involves some very, unattractive options as far as what you can do in order to secure the release of individuals who are being unfairly held and detained overseas. And so whether we're talking about our covert assets overseas, U.S. citizens and others, I think it demonstrates the depth of U.S. commitment, but also, as President Biden just said, it demonstrates just how important those alliances are, the relationships we have with countries around the globe that can help to facilitate this. And clearly the German Chancellor was instrumental in making sure that this deal was going to be able to go through. And again, I think it just demonstrates the U.S. leadership, particularly on the human rights front, on what is right front in terms of the global stage. There's no replacement for U.S. leadership, and U.S. leadership that takes seriously its global responsibilities.
John Brennan, thank you so much for your experience with all of this. And